GABA. GABA is your brain's main brake pedal. It's the reason you can calm down at all. Millions of people take it as a supplement every single day. None of it reaches their brain. Gamma-aminobutyric acid is your brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, the chemical signal that tells overactive neurons to slow down. When GABA levels are healthy, you can manage stress, fall asleep, and keep anxiety from spiraling. Naturally, supplement companies saw that connection and started selling GABA in capsule form, marketing it for relaxation, better sleep, and calmer nerves. The problem is the blood-brain barrier, a tightly regulated membrane that controls exactly which molecules get into your brain and which get turned away. GABA molecules are physically too large to pass through it. No matter how much you swallow, the compound circulates through your body without ever reaching the one organ it's supposed to help. Some minor effects through the gut-brain axis have been documented, but they're nowhere near what the label promises. Prescription drugs like benzodiazepines work on the GABA system because they were specifically engineered to cross that barrier. They don't deliver GABA directly, they amplify the GABA your brain already makes. Oral GABA supplements skip that engineering entirely, which is why they sit in your bloodstream doing effectively nothing while you wonder why you still can't sleep. BCAAs. Every major supplement brand sells them. Every gym has them stacked floor to ceiling. If your goal is building muscle, you're actually getting ripped off. BCAAs, branched-chain amino acids, are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, 3 of the 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. Supplement companies market them as the key to muscle protein synthesis, recovery, and growth. The problem is, BCAAs are incomplete on their own. Building muscle requires all 9 essential amino acids working together. Flooding your system with only 3 is like trying to build a wall with bricks but no mortar. The raw material is there, but the structure can't hold. It gets worse. BCAAs and tryptophan compete for the same transport channel across the blood-brain barrier. When you load up on BCAAs, they crowd tryptophan out. Tryptophan is the precursor your brain needs to produce serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and emotional stability. Heavy BCAA supplementation can actively suppress serotonin synthesis, leaving you more irritable and sleeping worse than you would have without them. Supplement companies push BCAAs because they're cheap to manufacture, easy to flavor, and easy to sell with a half-truth. If you want what BCAAs promise, take essential amino acids or EAAs instead. They contain all 9 amino acids and actually give your body what it needs to build and repair tissue. High-stimulation pre-workouts. The label on your pre-workout doesn't tell you what's in it. Legally, it doesn't have to. The phrase proprietary blend on a supplement label is a legal loophole. It allows manufacturers to list ingredients without disclosing individual dosages. That means a pre-workout can contain 5 different stimulants, and the company only has to print the combined weight of all of them. You have no way of knowing how much of each one you're consuming. What's typically hiding inside those blends is a stack of synthetic stimulants, synephrine, alpha-yohimbine, and high-dose caffeine layered together to create a rush that feels like focus and energy. What's actually happening is a massive cortisol and adrenaline spike paired with vasoconstriction, the tightening of your blood vessels. That's the exact biological opposite of what beetroot does. Instead of widening blood vessels to improve oxygen flow, these compounds squeeze them shut, which is why your skin goes pale, your heart races, and you feel like your chest is being compressed. Use these repeatedly and the consequences only get worse. Chronic adrenal overstimulation leads to hormonal disruption, persistent anxiety that follows you outside the gym, and an adrenal system that eventually struggles to respond normally to everyday stress. The jolt you feel isn't performance, it's your endocrine system being hammered into a response it was never meant to sustain. Deer Antler Velvet. Deer Antler Velvet contains a real growth hormone. The science behind it is legitimate. The moment you swallow it, all of that becomes completely irrelevant. The selling point is IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, a peptide hormone your body uses for muscle recovery, tissue repair, and cellular growth. Deer Antler Velvet does contain IGF-1. That part of the marketing is true. The part they leave out is what happens the moment it enters your digestive tract. IGF-1 is a delicate peptide, structurally similar to insulin, held together by bonds that hydrochloric acid in your stomach destroys on contact. The molecule gets shredded before it ever reaches your bloodstream. Supplement companies anticipated that objection and started selling sublingual sprays, drops you hold under your tongue to bypass the stomach. That doesn't work either. The IGF-1 molecule is too large to pass through the sublingual mucous membrane. It pools under your tongue, eventually gets swallowed, and meets the same hydrochloric acid it was supposed to avoid. Clinical studies measuring serum IGF-1 levels before and after deer antler velvet supplementation have consistently found negligible changes. The hormone is real, the delivery method makes it useless. Tribulus terrestris. Tribulus terrestris is the primary ingredient in more testosterone supplements than any other compound on the market. It has never raised human testosterone in a single reproducible clinical trial. Walk into any supplement store, and the testosterone booster section is dominated by products built around this one plant. The labels use phrases like natural testosterone support and hormone optimization, and the packaging features men who clearly achieve their physiques through means that had nothing to do with Tribulus. Systematic reviews of the clinical literature have looked at this compound repeatedly. The results have found no reproducible evidence of increased testosterone in human subjects. What Tribulus actually does is act as a mild central nervous system stimulant. It creates a feeling of increased energy, alertness, and drive, sensations that are easy to mistake for a hormonal boost when you're expecting one. Your testosterone levels don't change. Your perception of energy does. That stimulant effect is exactly why these products keep selling. People take them, feel something, and assume it's working. The feeling is real. The hormonal change they're paying for is not. Every dollar spent on a Tribulus-based testosterone booster would be better spent on creatine, sleep, or a barbell. L-Carnitine. L-Carnitine's entire job is to shuttle fat into your mitochondria to be burned as fuel, but the portion that never makes it through your gut gets converted into something that builds plaque inside your arteries. On paper, L-Carnitine sounds ideal for anyone trying to burn fat. It's the transport molecule that carries long-chain fatty acids across the mitochondrial membrane so they can be oxidized for energy. The problem is oral bioavailability. When you swallow L-Carnitine, only about 14 to 18% of it actually gets absorbed. The rest stays in your gut. What happens to that unabsorbed portion is where things go wrong. Gut bacteria convert it into TMA, trimethylamine, which travels to your liver and gets converted into TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide. TMAO promotes the deposit of cholesterol into artery walls. The more oral L-Carnitine you take, the more raw material your gut bacteria have to produce a compound that actively contributes to cardiovascular disease. Injectable L-Carnitine bypasses the gut entirely and achieves near complete bioavailability, which is why it's used in clinical settings for patients with specific metabolic conditions. But that's a medical intervention, not a consumer product. The capsules and powders on supplement shelves are feeding your gut bacteria the ingredients to damage your arteries while delivering a fraction of the fat-burning benefit they advertise. St. John's Wort. St. John's Wort doesn't just fail to treat depression. In some cases, it makes antidepressants stop working entirely. Marketed as a natural antidepressant for mild to moderate depression, St. John's Wort is one of the most commonly purchased herbal supplements in the world. What most people don't realize is that it fundamentally alters how your liver processes medication. Your liver uses an enzyme called CYP3A4 to clear drugs from your bloodstream. It's the primary mechanism your body relies on to metabolize and remove pharmaceuticals after they've done their job. St. John's Wort hyperactivates CYP3A4, dramatically accelerating that clearance process. Medications that are supposed to stay in your system for hours get flushed out before they reach therapeutic levels. Your liver essentially throws them away. Birth control pills lose effectiveness, leading to unintended pregnancies. Antidepressants, the very condition St. John's Wort is marketed to address, stop reaching the concentrations needed for them to function. People taking both assume the antidepressant stopped working when their liver is actually destroying it on arrival. Because it's sold next to multivitamins and labeled natural, most people never consider that it could interact with anything at all. Kava. Kava is sold in health food stores, wellness shops, and supplement aisles as a natural anxiety remedy. The FDA has formally linked it to liver failure at completely normal doses. The active compounds in kava are called kava-lactones, and they do produce a real calming effect, a mild sedation that has made kava a centerpiece of the trendy kava bar movement, where it's served in coconut shells and marketed as a safe herbal alternative to alcohol. The problem is what kava-lactones do to your liver. In susceptible individuals, kava-lactones are directly toxic to liver cells at standard recommended doses, not at extreme doses, not with prolonged abuse, at the same amounts printed on the label. The FDA has issued formal warnings after documented cases of acute toxic hepatitis and full liver failure in people taking Kava exactly as directed. No safe dosing threshold has been established, and the FDA has not approved Kava for any medical use. What makes Kava especially dangerous is the assumption baked into how it's sold. It sits on shelves between chamomile tea and melatonin. Kava bars serve it to walk-in customers with no screening and no warnings. The word herbal does the heavy lifting, and people equate it with harmless. For someone whose liver happens to be susceptible, a few cups of Kava tea can trigger organ damage that lands them in a hospital. Glucosamine. The NIH spent years and millions of dollars running the largest clinical trial ever conducted on a single supplement. The supplement was glucosamine. The result was a tie with a sugar pill. Glucosamine is marketed as a cartilage-rebuilding supplement for joint pain, and the logic behind it sounds reasonable. Glucosamine is a natural component of cartilage, so supplementing it should help repair damaged joints. The problem is your digestive system breaks supplemental glucosamine down into basic sugars long before it reaches any joint tissue. The building block arrives, but it gets disassembled at the door. The NIH GATE trial, the glucosamine/chondroitin arthritis intervention trial, was designed specifically to settle the question. It was the largest and most rigorous study ever conducted on glucosamine, enrolling over 1,500 participants with symptomatic knee osteoarthritis. The results showed that for the vast majority of participants, glucosamine performed at or below placebo. People taking sugar pills reported the same level of pain relief as people taking glucosamine. For anyone dealing with joint pain, the inflammatory mechanism driving the discomfort is often a more productive target than trying to rebuild the cartilage itself. Formulated curcumin, the kind paired with piperine to ensure absorption, addresses that inflammation directly, and the clinical evidence behind it is far stronger than anything glucosamine has produced. Now you know which supplements actually work and which ones are a waste of money. If you want to go deeper, be sure to check out every life-changing vitamin and mineral you should probably be taking.